sounds the call to come together, and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa land.
You may take your seats, distinguished guests. As we kick off today's proceedings, allow me, before I begin with the salutations and acknowledging, that perhaps we start off by turning our attentions to the screen and locate ourselves through this short audiovisual experience. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Gauteng, the economic heartbeat of South Africa and Africa's gateway to global commerce and innovation. Home to a dynamic population, this growth is the Gauteng Growth GDA, implementation arm of Gauteng Department of Economic Development, with a mandate to drive sustainable job creation and inclusive economic growth. The GGDA is transforming Gauteng into a globally competitive city region.
Gauteng is open for business. We offer unmatched opportunities in a stable, growing, and dynamic environment. With government support, world-class infrastructure, and access to African and global markets, investing in Gauteng is the right choice for sustainable growth and success.
South Africa has good, strong trade relations with a number of different regions. We've seen regions like the EU really stepping up and saying they want to deepen relations with South Africa. We have seen regions like the East China. We've got representatives actually from China in the room today who are saying they want to pledge, they want to deepen their investments in South Africa. And I think South Africa needs to be open for business with whoever wants to work with us. Agro-processing is a key driver of the Gauteng economy, but also of the South African economy, one might argue. It's also a key anchor for the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. And South Africa obviously has a critical role to play in that. A significant portion of the continent's agro-processing takes place right here in Gauteng, and we benefit from our well-established road and rail networks, infrastructure in general, as well as facilities, factories, and industrial areas. So we're quite well advanced as far as that goes, and I think that we're well poised to actually capitalize on that. So our focus is on driving sustainable job creation, which can only be possible through industrialization and driving areas and sectors of the economy that are labor intensive. And again, agriculture and agro-processing presents a fantastic opportunity for this, particularly in our peri-urban and more rural economies within Gauteng. So it's very exciting from that perspective. And I think there's a lot more opportunity. Red tape blockages, regulatory blockages, etc. I think we can really supercharge employment and supercharge industrial development in the province.
Paul Mashatile, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, the Honorable Park Sao, the Premier of the Gauteng Province, the Honorable Panyaza Lesufi, members of the Executive Council, members of the Provincial Legislature, executive mayors. Allow me to acknowledge Her Excellency Ambassador Romana Königsbrunn from Austria. Distinguished guests, ladies and presence, we also have Consul Generals. Allow me to acknowledge the Consul General of China, that is Pan Qingjiang, and the Consul General of Botswana, Madame Kutlo Chelinyana. In our presence this morning, we have investors, sponsors, directors general, heads of departments, city managers and municipal managers, CEOs, of course, media colleagues all around the room, leaders of the business community, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that I have covered the protocol for every who's going to come and speak today. Thank you very much. Allow me to welcome you to the Gauteng Investment Conference. My name is Nozipho Shabalala, and it is an absolute privilege and an honor to be back with you again this year and to serve you in my capacity as program director and moderator of some of the panels. Just last week, there are many faces here that were with us together at the South African Investment Conference as we engaged and grappled with questions of investment, of growth, and of capital. Today, we get to continue that conversation and bring it a lot closer to where execution really happens. Because while we know investment strategy can be set at a national level, it is realized provincially and indeed locally. I also know that in this room, no one needs convincing or reminding that Gauteng is not just another province in South Africa. It is the center of gravity of South Africa's economy and a critical gateway onto the continent. And that's what makes this moment critically important. We're not here to conference. We're not here to talk shop. We're here to do the work of strengthening Gauteng's position as a leading economic hub. My job right now is to ensure that the experience is optimized and enjoyable as possible. So please indulge me as I take you through just a few of the housekeeping notes before I invite the very first speaker to come and extend his official welcoming remarks. The first thing that I'd like to bring to our attention is that I'm going to ask the technical team to put up on screen the Wi-Fi code so that you are connected. But more than that, if you see the QR code behind me, that QR code links you to the app that we're using throughout the day. Now, the significance of the app is that you not only have the program, but you also have live notifications if there are any changes to the program. You have the opportunity to read the full bios of all the panelists and all the speakers and all the moderators. That I absolutely loved is that it also gives you some interesting places to visit in Gauteng. So it's a fully comprehensive experience. And allow me to add this additional functionality. We would like you to have a share of voice in today's conversations. And to do that, for sessions where there's a Q&A, I will remind you to kindly go into the app, to go in that session and to submit your question or your comment through the app. We have roving mics, ladies and gentlemen, but we will have an app that allows us all to be in a singular conversation. And that, of course, very large virtual audience that is connected and is streaming this conversation live. And so if you're joining us virtually, allow me to extend an invitation to you to kindly put your comments and your questions in the live stream chat, and we will try to the best of our ability to integrate your voice into the conversation. I think my final request this morning is anchored in the theme that brings us together. Hashtag growing Gauteng together. This is a conversation that should not, could not, must not die within this particular message to the world. Hashtag growing Gauteng together. And so my final request, and I've had a lot of requests this morning, is that you please take the time to go and visit the exhibition on the High Street. We have some phenomenal entrepreneurs from the Gauteng region that are showcasing their wares, and we would love to have you support the enterprises that are part of this conference today. Ladies and gentlemen, now to extend the official welcoming remarks, it gives me such a great pleasure that we might welcome His Worship Dada Morero, the Executive Mayor of the City of Johannesburg. Might we give a warm round of applause?
Hey. Good morning, Program Director, Ms. Shabalala. And thank you for affording me this opportunity to welcome the delegates. And thanks for the organizers for a proper pulpit. Most sessions, when I get there, the pulpit is higher than my height. I'm therefore forced to speak outside of the pulpit. Thank you very much to the organizers for being considerate of South Africa. Mr. Paul Mashatile, Honorable Premier of Gauteng, Mr. Panyaza Lesufi, honorable members of the Executive Council, distinguished ministers and deputy ministers who are here, high commissioners, ambassadors, and consular generals, the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane, our capital city, executive mayor Nasipi Moya. And I also like to take this opportunity to congratulate you on the appointment as a member of the UCLG Africa. Leaders of business, investors, development finance institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the city of Johannesburg, it is my distinct honor to welcome you to the Gauteng Investment Conference 2026. It is a privilege for Johannesburg to host this gathering at a pivotal moment when the trajectory of the African economic growth is being shaped by strategic investment, infrastructure development, and deeper regional integration. Johannesburg has long been the economic gateway to Southern Africa, and today it stands as the financial, industrial, and logistic hub that seamlessly connects African markets to global markets. However, we recognize that the next phase of growth demands deliberate strategic partnerships amongst government, business, and investors. This conference is therefore a testament to a collective ambition. It signals an unwavering confidence in Gauteng as Africa's premier investment destination. It affirms belief in the resilience and immense potential of our economy. Most importantly, it reflects our shared commitment to transforming opportunities into bankable projects, projects that drive growth, create jobs, and broaden economic inclusion. Today's discussions focuses on the sectors that will define the next chapter of Gauteng's development, include infrastructure investment, digital industries, manufacturing, logistics, tourism, and urban regenerations. These are not abstract priorities. They are the bedrock of our modern, competitive regional economy. As the city of Johannesburg, we are steadfast in our commitment to creating the investment climate and forging partnerships that unlock new economic activity across our city. We are improving the ease of doing business by streamlining processes and reducing bureaucratic delays, and of course, enhancing cross-departmental coordination. We are prioritizing infrastructure maintenance and renewal, recognizing that reliability is critical to expansion. Through the Johannesburg Property Company, we are unlocking strategic land parcels and bringing prime locations to the market for catalytic development. Furthermore, we are advancing reforms to trading services in partnerships with National Treasury to galvanize support for infrastructure development. We are also investing in inner city regeneration, transforming underutilized spaces into vibrant economic nodes that attract both investment and people. Investors demand certainty, credibility, and capable institutions. Our duty as government is to build and sustain these essential foundations. This conference therefore comes at a defining moment. Across Gauteng, we are actively unlocking large-scale infrastructure pipelines, property developments, digital economy investments, and industrial expansion opportunities that will shape the region's economic trajectory for years to come. Yet investment is not solely about capital. It is about bringing partnerships that expand opportunity for people and communities. It is about innovation that enhances productivity and competitiveness. Above all, it is about positioning Johannesburg as globally economic centers within the African continent. Gauteng remains the economic heart of South Africa and one of the most dynamic metropolitan regions of the continent. with the leadership of the Premier Panyaza Lesufi, the support of the national government through the presidential working support package, and the participation of investors and partners gathered here today, we are confident that the engagements at this conference will translate into real investment commitments and tangible economic impact. I wish you productive deliberations, impactful engagements throughout the day. And once again, on behalf of the city of Johannesburg, we are honored to have been given this opportunity to host this conference in the economic hub of South Africa, a real metropolitan city that gives reflection of different nations that have come together to build our country and our continent. And once again, I welcome you all to the Gauteng Investment Conference 2026. Thank you.
The Executive Mayor, Councillor Morero, thank you very much for the reminder that as we settle into the conversations of the day, that investment is a lot more than just about capital. It is about being intentional about the partnerships that brings those investments to life. It is about being intentional about putting people at the center as the true and ultimate beneficiaries of all that we do. And it is about being intentional that the work connects us more meaningfully to the African continent. It's a great way for us to then leave these welcoming remarks and to build on them by inviting our next speaker, who gets to do the job of setting the scene for us. This, of course, is the job, obviously, has always gone to MEC Lebogang Maile. We invite him with two hats today. One as outgoing MEC for Finance and Economic Development, and an MEC now for Education, Sports, Arts, Culture, and Recreation. Can we give him a big round of applause? Nice to see you. I'm good.
Yeah, I see Program Director, you have been speaking to the Premier, because that's his concept. That's how he introduced me this morning to the Deputy President, that I am the outgoing MEC for Finance and Economic Development. Let me take this opportunity to thank you, Program Director. We were gossiping about you with Dimdu, and we're saying you have now monopolized this this title of a Program Director for our events. I mean, we remember from many years back when Premier Makura was the Premier here. We also want to thank His Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic, our Republic, His Excellency, the Premier of the Gauteng Province, His Worship, the Executive Mayor, the City of Joburg, the MEC responsible for economic development, MEC Ramokgopa, other MECs who are here today, other mayors who are here, MMCs, members of the provincial legislatures, the Dean of Ambassadors, ambassadors, high commissioners, consul generals, chairpersons and CEOs of our boards and agencies, members of our boards, senior government officials from all levels and agencies, finance institutions. I've seen the platinum sponsor, Standard Bank. We are asking you to give us more money now for school sports. I need money for school sports. So Standard Bank, I'm fundraising for school sports. Private sector leaders, ladies and gentlemen, it is both an honor and a responsibility to stand before you today to set the scene for this year's Gauteng Investment Conference, a platform that is no longer simply an event in our calendar, but a central instrument in how we drive economic growth, mobilize capital, and translate policy into implementation. We gather here at the time of both urgency and opportunity. Globally, capital is becoming more selective. Investors are no longer responding to ambition alone. They are responding to credibility, to governance, to execution capability, and to the ability of regions to convert opportunity into tangible outcomes. And that is precisely the shift we've made in Gauteng. When we convened the inaugural Gauteng Investment Conference in 2025, we did so with a clear objective: to reposition Gauteng as a credible, structured, and execution-driven investment destination. The outcomes were significant. Over 1,800 participants. We raised 312.5 billion in investment pledges, a strong signal to both domestic and international markets that Gauteng is open, organized, and ready to partner. But as we've consistently emphasized, investment conferences are not judged by what is announced. They are judged by what is delivered. And it is in this regard that Gauteng is beginning to distinguish itself. We have moved decisively from pledges to projects. As of this year, a meaningful portion of those commitments has already entered implementation, unlocking tens of billions of rands into the real economy, into infrastructure, into industrial capacity, into energy systems, and critically into jobs. This is not incidental. It is the result of a deliberate model, a model that treats investors not as once-off engagement, but a life cycle. From project origination to preparation, to packaging, to investor engagement, to facilitation, and ultimately to delivery and aftercare. And it is this life cycle approach that defines the Gauteng Investment Conference. Gauteng Investment Conference is not an add-on initiative. It is a force multiplier. It is the platform through which we integrate project preparation, intergovernmental coordination, investor engagement, and capital mobilization into a single coherent system. It is how we operationalize the Gauteng economic plan. Because the reality we face is clear. Gauteng remains the economic engine of South Africa, contributing approximately a third of a national GDP and serving as the primary gateway for trade into the continent. We are diversified, industrialized, and globally connected. But we also operate within a broader structural context. South Africa's investment levels remain below what is required to sustain long-term industrialization. Infrastructure must be modernized at pace. Energy systems must be stabilized. And across Africa, competition for capital is intensifying. At the same time, the global economy is undergoing a profound shift. Supply chains are being reconfigured. Capital is moving towards high growth emerging markets. Investors are seeking regions that offer not just opportunity, but clarity, clear pipelines, clear governance, and clear delivery pathways. And this is where Gauteng is positioning itself. The Gauteng Investment Conference 2026 is designed as Africa's premier subnational investment platform, structured not around presentations, but around transactions. It is a platform that brings together global investors, African governments, development finance institutions, banks, municipalities, and the private sector into a curated deal rooms, sector dialogues, and policy engagements designed to move from conversation to commitment and from commitment to implementation. This year, we are elevating the model. Our objective is clear: to mobilize at least, and hopefully, MEC, you will announce the good news, 200 billion in the new investment commitments, backed not by aspiration, but by a structured pipeline-driven approach. We are focusing on high-growth, future-facing sectors: advanced manufacturing, logistics, digital infrastructure, renewable energy, green hydrogen, agro-processing, and the creative economy. We are strengthening intergovernmental coordination, ensuring that national, provincial, and municipal pipelines are integrated into a single visibility platform so that investors experiences one government, not many. We are deepening our continental partnerships through the Gauteng Pan-African Economic Partnership mobilization, aligning with AFCTA and Agenda 2063 to build cross-border value chains and position Gauteng as the gateway to Africa's industrialization. And critically, we are institutionalizing aftercare because the real work begins after the conference. It is in approvals, in regulatory facilitation, in unlocking finances, in resolving bottlenecks, in ensuring that projects move quickly, efficiently, and at scale. Program Director, I'm left with 25 seconds, don't worry, I'm concluding. If there is one, I'm watching the time. If there is one message we want to leave at the outset of this conference, it is this: we are moving from mobilization to institutionalization, from once-off events to a system of continuous capital formation, from fragmented initiatives to an integrated investment architecture, from ambition to execution. And that this matters not only for Gauteng, but for South Africa, and indeed for the continent, because if Gauteng succeeds in building a credible, scalable, and replicable subnational investment platform, it provides a model for how African regions can compete globally, not as isolated economies, but as integrated investment-ready ecosystems. To our investors and partners in the room today, we are not presenting a wish list. We are presenting structured opportunity, bankable projects, aligned policy frameworks, coordinated institutions, and administration committed to delivery. Thank you very much.
MEC, thank you very much. I never thought that an investment conference would sound so poetic as well. I don't know if you caught some of those magical sound bites that the MEC shared with us. We are not building on aspiration. We're building on an evidence-based pipeline approach. We are moving from pledges to projects. This is not a wish list. This is structured opportunity. So to my media colleagues, I think the sound bites for the day are already done. Thank you very much, MEC. Let's give him a big round of applause, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we move now into a dialogue, a conversation with the Premier, where we're answering the single important question of what does it really take to build a high-performance economy. And so might I ask you to please help me welcome Premier Lesufi as he joins me up on stage. Thank you so very much. Premier, thank you very much for joining us and for making the time to have this sit down. We have and we will continue to hear many sound bites about the significance of Gauteng, not only for South Africa from an economic perspective, but certainly for the continent as well. I spoke about it as being a center of gravity. We've heard it's a heartbeat. And I think there are many, many, many descriptions that we could use. But there's also a reality where growth has been somewhat slow, where investment could be better, where there are some structural weaknesses that remain stubborn and are not shifting as quickly as we might had hoped them to be. So fundamentally, what needs to be true for Gauteng to transition effectively into a high-performing economy?
Thank you so much, and thanks for the opportunity. Let me also add my voice in welcoming our Deputy President and everyone that is here. We just have to do the basics.
Sure.
We just have to do the basics and level the playing field and ensure that everyone is comfortable to come to Gauteng and do what they need to do. And I always say, if you are the epicenter of crime, epicenter of lawlessness, epicenter of destruction of infrastructure, no one will come to invest here. So it's extremely important that the basics are done, but most importantly, we build the capacity of the state, because it is the state that must drive these opportunities. It's the state that must enable environments that will make people to come and make a meaningful contribution. That is why I'm excited with the number of people that are here. I'm excited with the pledges that were made last year. I'm excited with the rollout of those pledges. It means that you are doing something right, and for that we are very grateful. That's how you push an economy, and that's how you ensure that everyone plays their own role. Just do the basics, and the rest shall follow.
Let me push you a little bit on that, Premier. If there were 3 basics that you feel are non-negotiables that we should be doing better in Gauteng, what would those 3 basics be?
I always tell people that government must do what government must do. And our function is nothing else but public good. If we don't do what public good should do, then the private sector will take over because the state is not pushing where we need to push. I want to start with the first one, which to me is very key and very fundamental. It's skills development.
Sure.
If we can't have the next generation that will provide the skills that are needed by the private sector, that are needed by the public sector, forget. That is why education plays a very key important role. Secondly, ensure that infrastructure is what we need to do, because it's the infrastructure that drives the economy.
Yeah.
I'm glad that the executive mayors of 2 important cities, Johannesburg and Tshwane, are here. Because if we don't have the basic infrastructure, if people want to build a factory, they must not struggle to get water. If people want to build a factory, they must not struggle to get electricity. If people want to build opportunities that will prosper, they must not struggle to get the basics from our municipalities. So infrastructure becomes another area that we just have to ensure that we get it right. Thirdly, is the capacity of the state. And I'll emphasize that point, because if you can't have the capacity to respond to the needs, why invite people to your table? It's only when you have the capacity to respond to their needs, direct their needs, protect their needs, and show them the path, we will be in a position to ensure that we expand. So those basic things, to me, are extremely important. And I'm excited that if you see the team that we have amassed, that is working extremely hard, and check the number of investments that are going to be announced today, you can see that we are going somewhere, because we need just to take Gauteng to the next level. And we do so, then we'll be in a position to take South Africa to the next level.
You've made a beautiful link to my next question, which was really to connect Gauteng to the South African ambition, and from there to the continental ambition. And the golden thread, it seems, across all of these is that we are pushing for a higher growth path. Talk to us a little bit more about that, Premier. Maybe bring into the conversation the Gauteng plan, which really is at the epicenter of our conversation this morning.
A month ago, we unveiled our growing Gauteng plan. And we deliberately named it a Gauteng City Region, to say it's not about our province alone. You bring municipalities, but at the same time, contribute to the priorities of the state of our country. Because those 3 priorities are very important: to grow the economy, build the capacity of the state, eliminate the cost of living, but most importantly, ensure that the stakeholders that are going to make things possible to us, their demands and their aspirations are met. So our strategy during Gauteng, we've got almost 6 pillars, but the key one, which is the innovation part, the ICT part, the infrastructure growth part, and the skills development part, will assist us to reposition our province to contribute to the growth of our country. If Gauteng can grow, it's extremely difficult for South Africa to grow. Sure. And if South Africa doesn't grow, our continent will not grow. So interrelations of this important segment of our society must be harnessed, must be supported, but at the center of everything is our skills revolution. Skills of the future allow innovation to prosper and emphasize the key issue, which I always emphasize, is that Stone Age didn't end because that generation ran out of stones. Stone Age ended because new ideas were planted. We have to be the hub of new ideas. We have to be the hub of innovations. We have to be the hub of attracting new ideas, new investment. And this forum has created and laid a very strong foundation. And it's very, very important that for us, we take it just to the next level.
Premier, I think that's, firstly, I would expect a round of applause. I think that your responses are really, really spot on. We're going to get the energy up as we go along. But what you've done beautifully is just shine the spotlight on the pillars for us and then highlight almost what I would describe as some of the priority pillars.
Yes.
The plan also speaks a lot about capital formation. And for me, I would imagine that there has to be a commitment to doing something differently in order to realize the capital formation that we are chasing. What can we expect that is going to be fundamentally different from the way we've done things before?
You will see, I think we'll be the first province, and I'm glad that MEC Maile led that foundation. We will be the first province to run with public-private partnership. It has worked. There is a huge investment that was made almost 15, 20 years ago on the Gauteng. It was 26 billion. As I'm speaking to you now, it's hovering around 48 billion rand. It's now in the hands of. We want to expand that. And in expanding that, we intend to create almost 150,000 jobs. But we also want to bring new innovative infrastructure realignment. We need a speed train to go to Limpopo. We need a speed train to go to KZN. We also need to level up our infrastructure in terms of roads. You will see our new master plan, road master plan, transport master plan. It harnesses the new form of transport that we really believe that will unlock opportunities. But we also want to take advantage of the growth of other provinces that are closer to us. There is no way that Rustenburg in Northwest can grow to Mafikeng. It has to grow towards Gauteng. And there's no way that Sasolburg in Free State can grow to Bloemfontein. It must grow towards us. Limpopo as well must grow towards us. So we want to harness and take advantage of that so that we can be a city region that has the capabilities to influence the growth of our neighboring provinces, and we can source the benefits out of that. So this is the approach that we think is proper, and we really believe that those that are here now will share the same ideas with us, but most importantly, sharpen it through our private-public partnership, because the private-public partnership have been made easy by National Treasury. Anything less than 2 billion does not have to go through a red tape. As the province, we can take a decision immediately. You will see, we'll be making lots of announcements of the triple Ps that we want to take to the next level in our province.
Premier, as you speak about the possibility of the other cities nationally growing towards Gauteng, the natural question that comes to me is to say, and at what point do we begin to look at those city-region connections with the rest of the continent, firstly within the region and then the rest of the continent? MEC Maile spoke about the African Continental Free Trade Area, and of course, a big challenge is how do we make sure that this is not just an agreement, but is realized in real relationships at city-region level as well. What is your view on the kind of progress we should be pushing for in that regard?
The continent is calling. We have to take advantage of that. And I'm excited that the executive mayor of Tshwane she has been elected to be part of that. We share, we are the secretariat of the conglomerates of African cities. We are playing that meaningful role. So Africa is open for business. But you don't just open for business. You deposit ideas. You deposit innovation. You deposit creativity. But you also bolster relationships, because you can't do that if you bully people. You can't do that if you think you are superior. We do that when you say we are one, we are together, we have a shared vision, and it's out of that shared vision that we can grow our continent. We are quite excited with the opportunities that the African continent is creating. We want to play that meaningful role because we are at the center of it. If we don't do it, no one will do it.
Absolutely, and I'm reminded as you speak about those relationships out of South Africa with the rest of the continent, that we often get described as a big brother, and it is a consciousness not to brother as much as you are big, and not to actually choose one or the other when it suits us best. Let me come to the question of industrialization or reindustrialization rather, because I would imagine that this is a conversation that is alive across the continent. The plan is also very clear that this is central to building a performing economy. Talk us through what we can expect from a reindustrialization push, some of the changes or projects that we can anticipate.
I'm truly excited about that, and I'm glad that the minister, Pakstar, will be here in the afternoon just to unpack it deeply. But you will see the number of special economic zones that we are now launching in our province. We have concluded the one of OR Tambo. We are now getting the go-ahead in terms of the Val SEZ. We are looking at the Lanseria one. And the Pretoria one, this one has been a model for the country. And if you can check, of all the special economic zones that we have across the country, is the one that are in Gauteng that are functional. Is the one in Gauteng that have really met the desired outcome. So as soon as the minister comes later on to unpack our industrial strategy, our pact, and the way that we want to push the industrialization of our province, you will see that indeed we are making a huge dent in that regard.
Thank you very much, Prem, and we certainly do look forward to that conversation with the Honorable Minister. One of the things that have been said at the stage already, and I'm not sure if it was the Executive Mayor or the MEC, the emphasis on people, that this is not a conversation just about capital and transactions. Essentially, this is about people. And so there are two things that come to mind with regards to that question. The first one is if we look at Gauteng spatial inequality and how that becomes a central bottleneck that needs to be addressed so that we can reimagine that spatial inequality in the province. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, but also how do we ensure that even as we push for higher growth, that remains inclusive as it has been the drumbeat of what it means to be South African for the longest time?
I'm on record that I get easily excited when people want to come to Gauteng. I know many government departments fight to say, our schools are full, hospitals are full, and many other things. I get excited. It means people prefer us. And if they prefer us, we just have to plan appropriately. And we must attract those that will also create opportunities. We must attract those that will build the province. We must not only attract those that need to get something out of our province. So I get highly excited, I must be honest, when people say, I want to go, come to Gauteng. So we are not ready to put a poster at the entrances of Gauteng and say Gauteng is full. Gauteng will never be full. We want our people to come here to create opportunities. And if people choose our schools, it means that we are providing quality education. If people choose our hospitals, it means we are providing quality healthcare. What we need to upgrade and populate is our planning capabilities so that we are not caught off guard with this number of people that now we have an idea of how many people wants to come here. And people drive economy. People drive opportunities. I was meeting with the provincial commissioner to say there are two cities that if we can get them to be a 24-hour cities. I mean, Sandton is our is our economic hub, is our economic market. We're hosting Live Golf. We had almost 100,000 coming here. They asked me, Premier, where can we go after golf? They came to Sandton. The shops were closing. That's not, you don't push economy in that particular fashion. You go to Midrand. It's a cosmopolitan city of young people. But after 7 o'clock, all entertainment places are closed, purely because we are scared of crime and others. So the ability to manage people, the ability to support, the ability to create centers in which they will feel that they are welcome in our province, to us is a very important approach that we have. So people push economy. Let's channel them to appropriate centers and ensure that they are safe and they are supported and that the economy can start to pump. We want to be the home of big matches, the home of big events. G20 demonstrated. I mean, after G20, you will see the investment that was left behind. We now have Live Golf. We have signed Live Golf to come back again. There is a popular motorsport that people have been yearning that it must come to South Africa. I'm living with the Minister of Sport in 2 weeks' time to go and lobby. And hopefully, if we win, it will be the first time that it comes back here in our continent. And these are kinds of events that we really believe that push the economy.
So two quick questions, Premier, just before we wrap, because one, you've spoken about state capacity quite a lot, and capacity is important, but coordination is probably equally important. What do you think needs to change in how we currently are coordinating across departments and government departments in particular to ensure that we are singing from one hymn sheet and there is an alignment in terms of where we're all going and what we want to get out?
It's joint planning and joint budgeting and capacity to monitor. So intergovernment relations, and it has improved. I'm grateful to the executive mayors that are here. It's a demonstration that intergovernment relations works, because if we can't plan together through the TTM model with national government, if national government does not know where we are going, and if local municipalities are not aware where we want them to go, that will not have a system of governance in our province. And I was excited to hear the executive mayor of Johannesburg to say that eliminating red tape. Because it's municipalities that must convert all the pledges that are going to get them. Because if municipalities can't give that support, then we're not going to be in a position to give that support as a province. So IGR, intergovernment relations, but most importantly, the ability to blend together, the ability to paint a picture of a new Gauteng that we want, that can be shared by everyone, is the way to go. And I'm quite excited that thus far, we're doing exceptionally well with all the institutions that we have in our province.
And of course, this conversation would be completely incomplete if we didn't pull in the role of the private sector as you see it. I love the language, I even called it poetic, that MEC used, this idea of a structured opportunity. Where are the structured opportunities for private sector to step into a lot more aggressively, a lot more actively? How do you see private sector really becoming a fuel behind some of the things that we've spoken about today?
That's the lifeblood of opportunity. That's the lifeblood of growth. That's we want to create an environment where we are the preferred destination. And you can see from the pledges that we made during the Presidential Investment Conference, the pledges that are getting here, that people want to come to Gauteng. The only thing that we need to do is to create an environment to be conducive for those opportunities. And to have all the MECs that are here and the executive mayors here, it's a demonstration that we are ready to make business, we are ready to interact, and where there are blockages, we are also ready to ensure that the infrastructure is ready to accommodate opportunities. And I want to thank them for coming, and I want to thank those that have made pledges. I want to thank those that are coming from the second time. We are here to grow Gauteng together. And if we grow Gauteng, we definitely grow South Africa.
Premier, thank you so much. I don't think we could have ended that conversation on a better note. A very big thank you, Premier. Yes, we can give him a big round of applause. And the call to action there is we are here to grow Gauteng together. Now, Premier, I'm going to descend off stage and I'm going to give you the honor of introducing His Excellency, the Deputy President, as he comes up to do his keynote address. I would invite you to kindly please do that at the podium. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Mashatile. We want to take this opportunity to really introduce somebody that is a friend of our province, somebody that supports us at all times, somebody that is always there when we need his ear, when we need his advice, when we need his counsel. He's a former premier of our province. Most importantly, he's now the Deputy President of our country. Let's rise to welcome the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Paul Mashatile. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. I was complaining to MEC Maile that after he had spoken, he dismantled the system. So next time. Thank you very much, Program Director, Ms. Nozipo Shabalala. Honorable Premier of Gauteng, Mr. Panyaza Lesufi, ministers and deputy ministers here present, the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, our host, Councillor Dada Morero, the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane, our capital city, Councillor Nosipi Moya, MEC for Economic Development, Ms. Vuyiswa Ramukopa, the incoming, and MEC for Education, Sports, Culture, and Recreation, Mr. Lebogang Maile, the outgoing, CEOs of state-owned enterprises from the national government and those from the provincial government, members of the diplomatic corps, leaders of business, finance, labor, and civil society, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, Dumelang, Abshin, Dimachero. It is an honor to return once again to address this prestigious gathering following the inaugural Gauteng Investment Conference in 2025. This conference takes place at the defining moment of our country and our economy. Just over a week ago, South Africa successfully hosted the 6th South African Investment Conference, where government, business, and our international partners secured a record investment commitments of approximately 890 billion rands in a single day. These are the largest pledges achieved since the investment drive began in 2018, lifting cumulative commitments well beyond 1.5 trillion rands and promoting government to set a new national investment ambition of 3 trillion rands over the next few years. The significance of the South African Investment Conference lies not only in the scale of these commitments, but in what they represent. A firm vote of confidence in South Africa's reform trajectory, policy certainty, and in our constitutional democracy anchored by the rule of law. However, investment conferences are not ends in themselves. Their true value lies in delivery, in translating commitments in projects on the ground into factories, infrastructure, energy capacity, and above all, jobs. It is precisely at this point of delivery that Gauteng assumes its central role. As the economic heartland of South Africa, contributing the largest share of our national GDP and serving as a gateway to regional and global markets, Gauteng stands as a primary platform through which many of these national investment commitments will be implemented, expanded, and scaled. The South African Investment Conference set the national direction. The Gauteng Investment Conference takes that forward by localizing investments, accelerating execution, and removing obstacles at project level. This ensures that the national vision is not only articulated, but lived in the daily realities of growth, opportunity, and jobs. Many of the commitments announced at the South African Investment Conference across advanced manufacturing, the energy transition, logistics, digital services, infrastructure, and industrial localization align directly with the Gauteng's competitive strength, which are its industrial base, financial systems, skilled workforce, research institutions, and also world-class connectivity. This conference therefore serves as a distinct and complementary purpose. It moves us from national pledges to provincial pipelines, from policy certainty to site readiness, and from investor intent to operational delivery. In doing so, it transforms national ambition into provincial action, ensuring that Gauteng stands as a proving ground where investments becomes impact and where the story of South Africa's growth is written in the lived experiences of the people. Through the Gauteng Investment Conference, we are saying clearly to investors, South Africa is open for business, and Gauteng is ready for execution. We are determined that Gauteng will lead by example in shortening regulatory timelines. And I'm happy that I had both the Premier and the MEC emphasizing that, because it's important that we should not allow bureaucracy to delay implementation. By ensuring coordinating across spheres of government, crowding in private capital, and supporting investors across the full project life cycle so that commitments translate into measurable economic impact and inclusive growth. Consequently, Gauteng will not only advance the outcomes of South African Investment Conference, but will give concrete expression to our national objective of investment-led growth, job creation, and economic transformation. As we reflect on the theme, that is reindustrializing Africa's gateway through investment, innovation, and integrated growth, we are reminded that we must exploit the engines of industry, channel the lifeblood of investment, and ignite the spark of innovation. Gauteng's role as Africa's gateway should not only be defined by economic weight, but by its ability to create opportunity for all our people. Reindustrialization is a practical, forward-looking strategy. It recognizes that productive capacity is a foundation of sustained growth. It must result in technology-driven factories, expanded industrial output, revitalized industrial parks, and special economic zones, strengthen local supply chains, and dignified jobs at scale. But let us be clear, the industrialization we pursue today is not the industrialization of yesterday. It is a new industrialization built on 4 critical pillars. The first one, without reliable energy, efficient logistics, water security, and modern digital infrastructure, industrialization cannot take place. That is why government continues to invest in stabilizing and expanding energy supply, improving rail and port systems, and strengthening water and logistics infrastructure. These are the foundations of industrial growth. Second, the future of industrialization is as digital as it's physical. Data centers, artificial intelligence, fintech, cloud infrastructure, and digital public platform are now the backbone of modern economies. Gauteng is uniquely positioned to lead in this space, and we must leverage this advantage to build globally competitive digital industries. The third, Africa remains resource-rich but value chain poor. We export raw materials and import finished goods. We are connected to global markets, yet insufficiently integrated within our own continent. The African continental free trade area gives us a platform to change this, to build regional value chains, expand inter-Africa trade, and industrialize at scale. Its success depends on improved cross-border infrastructure, reduced trade barriers, aligned standards, and strong support for African businesses. Through platforms such as this conference, Gauteng is positioning itself as a continental execution hub, a place where the African Continental Free Trade Area moves from agreement to implementation. The fourth one, industrial growth must not be exclusionary. It must unlock opportunities for young people, township economies, and small and emerging enterprises, ensuring that growth translates into shared prosperity. Equally, industrialization does not happen without investments. Investments must translate into production. Production must translate into jobs, and jobs must translate into improved livelihoods. This is why the Gauteng Investment Conference has evolved beyond a traditional form. It is becoming a full investment lifecycle mechanism for deal origination and project preparation, to financing, implementation, and delivery. Government's responsibility in this process is very clear: to de-risk investments through policy certainty, regulatory efficiency, and coordination across all spheres of government. To crowd in private capital alongside development finance institutions and commercial lenders, and also to ensure delivery, accountability, and project tracking. Credibility is built not on what we announce, but on what we deliver. And government cannot do this alone. We need a strong partnership with businesses that invest in skills, support localization, integrate small enterprises into value chains, and commit to long-term resilience. I'm happy, Premier, that you announced earlier, you emphasized this issue of skills and skills development. Very important to ensure that we get our youth into the economy. Ladies and gentlemen, Gauteng is a region where investors can find both returns and resilience. It offers a vibrant workforce, a commitment to enterprise development, and world-class infrastructure. Investment here is not a risky endeavor. It is a collaborative one where each rand invested multiply opportunity, strengthen communities, and build secure futures. Program Director, as I conclude, let me issue a clear call to action. Firstly, to investors, South Africa and Gauteng in particular is open for business and open for partnership. Africa is not a risky story. It is a long-term growth and return story. To business, you are not passive participants. You are core architects of our industrial future. Work with us to build industries and to develop skills. To government and all spheres of government, we must act with agency, coordination, and accountability, removing barriers and accelerating delivery. We must ensure the ease of doing business so investors can come in and invest and we can deliver. And to Africa, our continent, this is our moment, not to extract, not to import, but to produce, to innovate, and to lead. Let this conference mark a turning point from commitments to implementation towards integrated growth that is inclusive and sustainable. And as you said, Premier Eli, in Gauteng, let us work together. Let us work together to build this beautiful province, to build this province that is the heart and the engine of the South African economy. I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity. Ke a leboga. Inkomo.
Lerato. Ladies and gentlemen, if we could give a final round of applause for His Excellency, Deputy President Paul Mashatile. Your Excellency, thank you for reminding us that investment is indeed the outcome of a negotiated risk, but more than anything, the outcome of negotiated risk perception. And that risk and the story that we tell in South Africa is that this is a long-term growth and return story and not a story of the outcome of risk. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now ready for our first panel of the day, and this links quite tightly to the infrastructure insights and nuances that we've heard throughout the morning today. The title of this panel is Infrastructure Investment and Project Preparation. And I'm absolutely pleased to welcome the moderator, Sam Rowland. Sam is with The Economist, and in particular is the Sub-Saharan Africa Director for the Economist Intelligence Corporate Network. Let's give Sam a round of applause as he comes up. And his panel that he will settle into conversation with is standing by. We're joined by Madame Mametse Masimula, who's the head of Infrastructure South Africa, Advocate Michelle Phillips, who is the Group CEO at Transnet, the Director of Project Preparation at Afri-Exim Bank, Mr. Zito Alfayo. Paul Zemiri is here with us as well from the African Development Bank, and Madame Zen Dlamini from Standard Bank, where she sits as the Global Head for Infrastructure, Sovereign and Public Sector at CIB. I am aware that His Excellency might be departing soon. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if we do see His Excellency leaving, we do want to acknowledge and thank you, sir, for your time with us and that you've taken the time to come and really anchor the conversation. With that, Sam, might I hand over to you?
Is this on? Do I need to go to... Can everyone hear me? All right, thank you. And good morning, everyone, and thank you for hosting me back for the second time at the Gauteng Investment Conference. My name is Sam Roland. I'm with the